Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Emma, and this is my podcast where I share all my knitting and crocheting and other yarny things. I hope you're all doing well. It is a beautiful day today. We've been having the most horrible May so far, weather-wise. It's been so cold and wet and just miserable, and today it's the start of a little mini heat wave, I think, that we're due to have over the bank holiday, and it is glorious. It is so sunny. So I thought I would pop on today while I've still got chance before half term, although Isla is off today already, to give you a little update on what's been going on and what I've been up to. I do have a couple of pieces of news to share with you. The first is really exciting. We do have a new family member. He's currently just asleep down there. It's his nap time, so I will pop in a little picture or maybe some video footage so you can see. But Duncan came home with us about almost 3 weeks ago. Duncan is a Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. He's the same breed as Oscar, although he's a Ruby and Oscar was a Blenheim. When we first lost Oscar, originally we thought that we wanted to wait a while before we got another dog, but we just missed Oscar, and we just missed having a dog in general. If you're used to having a dog at home, just the house isn't it doesn't feel right, I don't think, if you don't have one. So yeah, we welcomed Duncan home. He's settling in really well. It has been a bit of a culture shock, I can tell you, going from a really elderly dog who pretty much just slept all day, who knew all of our routines and things and was completely settled in and in tune with us, to a really energetic, excitable new puppy. But yeah, he's lovely. He runs rings around me, and I've not been able to get as much stuff done as I would like, but it's all good. We're all very happy. So that's my first piece of news. And the second piece of news I'm going to mention briefly now, but I'm going to chat about in more detail later on. And that is, I have started selling my own hand dyed yarn in my Etsy shop, which is unbelievable. It's something that I've been planning and hoping to do for a really long time. And I finally went ahead, listed all of my skeins and things. My first kind of mini collection, mini launch that I did sold out. So thank you to everyone who purchased a skein or more from me. It's incredible every time I get an order through on Etsy. I just can't believe it. It makes me so happy packing those orders up for you and everything. So I just wanted to mention that briefly, but I know that some people will just be here for the knitting and the crochet, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But at the end, once I've discussed all of my projects and things, I will show you the yarn that I have available at the moment, as well as some new things that I've been working on. So yeah, I'll do that at the end, and then if you're not interested, that's fine. You don't have to watch that bit. So I think that kind of clears everything up news wise, so we can get into it. I have some finished objects to share with you today. Since we last spoke, I've been on a bit of a sock knitting kick. I've got right back into my sock knitting again, and my first finished objects that I have to show you is my Humlebi socks that I was working on the last time. Let me just have a little drink of coffee. So I think the last time I'd finished sock number one, and I went into it in quite a lot of detail and chatted, through everything, all the trials and tribulations that I'd had with it and things. So I'm not going to go into too much detail this time. You can always pop back and have a look at my other episode if you want to know a little bit more detail. But here they are, and I don't have them on sock blockers. They have been blocked, I think you can tell, because they look nice and neat. But I have some other socks on the sock blockers at the moment. Now, I had a bit of a problem with the bees last time, and it was completely my own fault. It was because I was making the socks on small circulars, which I'm not used to. So with sock number two, I went back to Magic Loop, and it just meant that I had to kind of rearrange the stitches so that the beginning of the round wasn't at the beginning of the needles, so that the yarn overs and things all fell correct. And I said at the time, I was hoping that my second sock, would be noticeably neater. And I actually can't tell now which one is sock one and which one is sock two. I think I think that this one is sock number two. I think. But don't they look cute, the little bees? It's so clever how they do. And it was my first time doing bobbles as well with knitting. And yeah, it wasn't as bad as what I thought actually. They were quite simple to do. I've not actually worn these. So the problem with these socks, as I mentioned last time, is that they start off on 64 stitches, but then once you get past the heel, you have to increase up to 70 stitches and then finally up to 72 for the cuff. So they are quite a bit bigger at the top than what I'm used to, and for that reason, and also because I wanted to share them with you today, of course, I've not actually worn them. I'm not sure how well they're going to fit. They might end up being more like slouchy house socks, because I do have quite skinny ankles, so I don't think they would hold up. I've not been converted into toe-up socks, although these just seem to fly off the needles once you had the foot done, and then the pattern bit that, you seem to be practically finished. And I did really enjoy them. It was nice to try, but I didn't enjoy the cuff. And I said last time as well, I had this bit of a gap there. If you can see where I've kind of sewn in the end and then it's come apart a little bit, and I tried to do it. Oh, so this must be sock number two. I think I was correct then. It's a little bit neater there, but I just don't like that. I just think it looks neater when you're starting off with the cuff and working your way down. So I've not been converted into toe-up socks, but I have definitely been converted with into a fleagle heel. I am loving fleagle heels at the moment. They're so easy to do and they just look so neat compared to my heel flap and gussets, and they're really similar. You still get this extra room here, so it fits really well. So the other finished pair of socks that I have to show you kind of ties in nicely with that. So last time I was working on a pair of Hermione's everyday socks, and I was on sock number one, and I was halfway through the heel. I think I'd just done the heel flap and the heel turn and picked up the stitches ready to start doing the gusset decreases. And I actually ended up frogging that back because I wanted to try the fleagle heel but cuff down. My friend Kate informed me that if you do a fleagle heel but cuff down, then it's actually called, I think it's called a strong heel. And I'm not 100% on that. I might be misquoting her. I might completely have the wrong end of the stick. So this might be a strong heel. And here they are. And they're pretty. So let me chat to you while we're on the topic of the heel. So when I did my Humlebi socks, obviously these were toe up. So you knit up until this point here, and then you start increasing on one needle only. You increase along here, so this part's getting bigger. And then once you've done that, you basically do a heel turn, the same as you would do if you were doing a heel flap and gusset. So the heel turn is this part on the top here. Because I've done exactly the same thing, but because I was working it cuff down, it's a lot more like a traditional heel flap and gusset in my mind. So you start off and you'll do the increases here. So you can see it kind of increases along this line and this part here. And then once you've increased to the correct number of stitches or done all the required increases, then you do kind of like the heel turn and decrease them back down. And that made a lot more sense to me in my head. It just makes sense to have the decrease part on the bottom of the heel and have the increase part there. But yeah, I'm really, really pleased with how they've turned out. So the yarn is by Dandelion Dogwood, and it is really pretty. It was a Christmas one. I think it's called Iced Cinnamon Stars, and it's beautiful, but I do think it obscures the pattern somewhat. Like if I hold them there, I'm not sure you can really see the pattern on them, but if I bring them close, Hermione's Everyday Socks, of course, it's a free pattern. But I'm still really pleased with them. It's pretty yarn, and to say I went quite a long time last year without making any socks whatsoever. Yeah, it's been nice to have them to work on again. I do enjoy knitting socks. And what I've decided I'm doing as well, I want to kind of update my sock collection. So every time I finish a pair of socks, I'm throwing away an old pair of socks. Because I've got some socks in my collection that I knit ages ago, and I wear my hand knit socks all of the time. I don't baby them, I wash them as normal. So some of them, are really looking quite worse for wear now. And my absolute favourite pair of socks, which I believe are the Bonfire Socks by Potter and Bloom. I've had them ages, and it was using yarn from Biff Sugar Yarns, and Alison doesn't even dye yarn anymore, and I love them, but they're starting to go through at the toe. Yeah, I'm really sad about it because I really love those socks. It's got to the point now where I kind of hold back from wearing them. It's like, oh no, because I don't want to risk it. I don't want the toes to go through because I'll be so upset when it's time, to say goodbye to that pair. Unless I just cut the toe off and add a new toe to them. That's a similar colour. I'll have to look into that. I wonder if I could dye some of that myself actually. So I also have another 2 pairs of socks on the needles. I think that is all my finished objects, and I have been quite brief about them because, as I say, I did chat about them quite a lot in last episode, and I don't just want to keep going over the same thing. So I did cast on another pair last year, and I bought myself a yarn advent. And one of my goals last year was to really get back into sock knitting this year, and I thought it would encourage myself if I got myself a sock advent. So quite a lot of dyes seem to be doing these now. It's where instead of offering kind of your traditional 24 mini skeins, they actually offer 4 or 5 sock sets. And I got the sock set calendar from the Camel's yarn. I've bought yarn from her before, which I really liked. She is a little bit different to kind of my usual type of yarn. But it's good to try new things. So it was a little bit out of my comfort zone. And how can I say this without sounding really negative? So the yarn dyer, whose name I always forget, I'm so sorry. She showed some mood boards, and all of the yarn was kind of based on seaweed. And she posted these beautiful pictures of seaweed, all different colours. They were beautiful, beautiful pinks and things and purples. And I fell in love with those images, those mood boards, and I thought the yarn is going to be absolutely beautiful. And it is beautiful, but it was also kind of not what I was expecting from the mood boards. Like when you compare the yarn to the picture, then yes, I can kind of look at it and think, yeah, I can see that it does go with it, and the yarn does match the picture. But I think I had a different interpretation of how it was going to look in my head. The colours were a lot darker. Anyway, I decided just to randomly, I picked up one of the skeins from the advent. I won't get them all out to show you, but you can kind of see them here. So you've got this one, this one, this one, and then this green one here. Those are all from the Camel's Yarn advent last year. And the one that I picked up is this one, which is really pretty. I was thinking earlier that it's quite autumnal, isn't it? Especially when you pair the mini with it. That's very, very autumnal to me. It's beautiful, but it's just yeah, like I said, it just wasn't what I was expecting. But that's always the gamble, isn't it? And the chance that you take when you buy yarn advents, which is why I'm not getting any this year. And also because the contents of my bank account are laying asleep over there. So, yeah, I'm wiped out. I can't. There'll be no advents this year. Possibly if Jess at Loom Wool does an advent, I may be tempted. Although Jess hasn't posted anything about doing an advent this year, and most people have. So I'm wondering if she's doing one or not. Anyway, I digress. I casted on a pair of socks with that yarn. First one is finished, and it looks like this. So it's just a plain vanilla sock. So I've done my usual cast on 64 stitches on 2.25 needles, 15 rounds of 2x2 ribbing, and then I've done about 40 rounds for the leg, which takes me down to here, and then I've done a Flegel heel again. I told you I'm absolutely loving the Flegel heel at the moment. Look how neat that looks. I've got no ladders, no gusset holes, nothing. It looks perfect on both sides. I'm so happy with it. And then I've just knit down to the toe, and then I've used the contrast colour. So I finished sock number 1, and sock number 2 is in progress. I've been working on these a lot lately, and I am part way through the heel on this one. So I'm doing all of my increases now. So you can see I've got, I don't know if you can see actually, but I've got a lot more stitches on this needle here compared to this one. And then once I've increased, I'll just start doing the heel turn to take me back down again, and then it's just a case of knitting plain. So yeah, I'm really feeling like I want to use up my yarn stash lately. I've got another project that I'm going to chat about soon that's also using up some stash yarn. Yeah, I'm feeling really motivated to get some skeins moving, and I don't know why in particular I chose to cast on this pair. I just kind of stood in front of the cabinet and thought, right, and grabbed one. I'm gonna knit with those. So yeah, so that's another pair of socks. And I also have another pair on the needles. So yeah, I told you I'm going a bit sock mad lately, and I've got plans for another pair as well. As soon as I finished those ones, I was feeling a little bit nostalgic recently. I was looking at old patterns, thinking about old podcasts and things, old podcasters, old yarn dyers, and just on a whim, I decided to cast on a pair of Mayura socks, which is a pattern by my friend Emma of Potter and Bloom, who no longer designs, but her patterns are still available, I believe, on Ravelry, or they were the last time that I checked anyway. And I've made 2 pairs of these socks already, and they're so pretty. It's one of my favourite patterns, and yeah, I decided to make another pair because why make a new pattern when you can make one you've already made twice before? And I've already completed sock number 1, and this yarn is my own hand dyed yarn, although this one was dyed using natural dyes. I believe this one was dyed using Kutch, which is quite it's normally quite a deep brown, but I went with I used it at such low concentrations that it gives this really lovely, just kind of creamy beige colour. So yeah, again, that was just some yarn that I had sitting there that I wanted using up. This time I did 15 rounds of a twisted rib. I'm not sure what the rib is in the pattern actually. To be honest, I didn't check. I just did my own ribbing. And then the front of the sock is worked in this really beautiful old shale pattern, and I've taken it off the sock blockers so that I can bring it closer to show you. Look how pretty that is. And it's actually really simple to do as well. And in Emma's pattern, she actually has this kind of a fake cable that goes down the back on the back of the sock as well, which is beautiful. But I decided not to do that this time. I just wanted the pretty pattern on the front. So I did all of the leg again. I've done my fleagle heel, whereas the pattern I think calls for just a heel flap and gusset, but I've just subbed in the fleagle heel or the strong heel. I will try and find out what it is called, and if you do know, can you leave me a comment and let me know, and I'll pin it, and then everyone else can check. Just I don't want to be telling you all that I'm doing one type of heel if I'm not. Um, and yeah, so I finished that a couple of days ago, and then I've been concentrating on finishing my vanilla sock because I want to cast on another pair, but I don't want too many pairs of socks. But yeah, I am all about the sock knitting recently, and I'm really enjoying it. I went through a bit of a sock knitting phase a couple of years ago, and I made loads and loads of pairs, and then you kind of do go through phases, don't you? Yeah, I went on to other things. It's nice to be knitting them again. The other project that I have that's new that I haven't shown you is another project that I've started to use up some stash yarn. So, quite a long time ago now, I was very kindly gifted quite a lot of yarn from Arcane Fiberworks, who I believe are based in Canada. And they were incredibly generous and sent me so many skeins of their hand-dyed yarn. There was such beautiful colours, but there's just so much of it, and it's such a shame for it to be sitting there. And I have done various projects with it, and it just doesn't seem to go down the stash at all. So I have started a project deliberately to try and kind of get that yarn moving forward a little bit and get it off the shelf, because it's just such a shame for it to be just so beautiful and just be sitting there and not be used. So what I'm doing is I've taken some of the yarn and I've been holding it double, and I'm really sorry, but I have no idea what these colours are because they've just been sitting balled up like this on my shelf for such a long time. But I did use these for one of my tutorials. I think it was either a mitered square or it was the granny stripe tutorial, and I believe if you look in the description of that video, the yarn colours may be listed in there. I'm pretty sure they are, or they'll be in a comment or something. So I have started a cozy comfort throw, which is just a great big squishy garter stitch blanket, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fit it all in screen. You get the idea. So you can see the colour difference when I hold it up like this. It looks really obvious on the screen, but it's not that obvious in real life. So you can see this first kind of stripe or block here was using another two colours, and then once I used those up, I've switched to the two colours that I showed you just now, and yeah, then I'll just keep on going, holding them double until they're all being used up. But this is a pattern by A Homespun House, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'll put it on the screen. So if nothing appears, then I am correct. And I haven't made any changes except I am slipping the first stitch of each row. So I get a really nice finish on the edge here. The pattern at the end does have you pick up all of the stitches and knit like an I-cord border all the way around. And originally that's why I slipped the stitches at the start of each row, because I thought, well, that will make it a lot easier to pick the stitches up. But actually, just looking at it now, I might not even bother, because I think that looks quite nice and neat, doesn't it? So I might just leave it like that, to be honest. So we'll see. But yeah, it's just going to be a great big, beautiful, warm, squishy blanket, and it's using up some stash yarn as well, so it's completely mindless, which is what I need sometimes. It's always good to have a mindless crochet knitting project. So those are all of my current projects. Last time I also mentioned a crocheted blanket that I'd been working on, and I will admit that I did actually end up frogging that blanket, and I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to mention it on here and say that I frogged it and admit it that I'd pulled it all out, because I always feel a bit, I don't know. I feel like it's disappointing that I've not continued with it, but it's silly because that's just part of the process. Sometimes you get ideas for designs and things and you try them out and they don't work out. But yeah, I know that I'd had some people who said they were kind of waiting for the pattern and things, so I do feel bad. But I mean, it was just Suzette stitch, so it's really simple to do. And I do have a tutorial on my channel for the Suzette stitch, if you wanted to check that out anywhere. So that one is no more. But I do still have my Hexie blanket, which has also undergone some changes. So I've kept this because this is basically what it looked like the last time we chatted. Or I don't think it had as many hexagons. I think it was maybe just 4. And I actually sat and worked on this while I was editing my last podcast, and just as I was working on it, I kept thinking to myself, "Oh, I don't know if I like this." It was the white border, and I kept thinking that it would just look better without the border around all of the colours, because all of the yarn, which is from Beth at Beehive Yarn, her advent last year, which was called La Vie en Rose, and it's all kind of themed on roses. And I always remember when I saw Beth's podcast where she came on to chat about her advents, and she held up some sample colours, and she said it was, she wanted the colours to look like, if you imagine holding a beautiful bouquet of roses. So I just thought, you would never have a bouquet, would you, with, white borders around all of the flowers. All the colours just kind of blend and meld into each other, and it looks gorgeous. So I started it again, just minus the white border, and it's still very small, but this is how it's looking. And all I've been doing is working one hexagon for each colour. I'm joining them as I go, and as I've worked one colour, I'm popping it in a bag and I'm working through all 24 colours. And then once I've done that, I'm starting again and then popping them in the other bag. So I know that I'm working all of the colours evenly and I'm not, using up one colour before the other. So yeah, that's how that's looking. And I think it's going to look it's going to look gorgeous when it's done. And I think it looks a lot better. What do you think? And I've had a few people, because I have shared this on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm on Facebook now, and I'm trying to be a bit more proactive with my Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, I'm on there as MSC Make, so you can come and give me a follow if you like. So I do post updates of projects and things on there, in between filming on here. So this is just the same pattern as my 2 round mini hexes, except I'm just doing them all one colour, and I'm doing 3 rounds instead of 2, and then I'm joining them as I go. So I've had some people asking me for the pattern or the tutorial, and I am going to film a quick one just to explain properly how to do the 3 round hexes, because I know that some people would like that. But it is going to be a quick tutorial, so I'm not going to do the joining method, because I've already covered that in the 2 round hexie video. And I'll pop the link to that on screen so that you can go take a look at that if you want to. And yeah, and when I do the tutorial for this, which hopefully I will film next week or the week after, and that will go on YouTube, and I will just link to the joining method in the description. So yeah, that's how that one's looking. But I've not done a great deal on it because I've been mostly knitting socks, which is all good. And that brings me to the end of all of my current projects and what I've been working on. So if you've watched this far and that was all you came for and you're not interested in hearing about my hand-dyed yarn or anything, which is absolutely fine, I will say thank you so much for watching and take care, and I will speak to you again next time. But if you are interested in hearing about my hand-dyed yarn, I've just got a few skeins here on the table I'm going to show you. So these ones that I've got in front of me are kind of like the core of my collection. We've got some lovely pastel colours, and they're all in my Etsy shop now in stock. So it's all sock yarn at the moment. I am hoping to expand as time goes on, new bases and new colourways. So this is all superwash merino yarn with recycled nylon. And first off, I have this beautiful colour, which is probably the closest to this one here. So this was naturally dyed. All of the yarns that I'm going to show you now are using acid dyes. So we've got this one, which is oat milk, which is a beautiful tonal pinky brown. We have this one, which is called blush, which is a pale tonal pink, and it's got some beautiful kind of coral in it as well. We have gentle sunshine. I love that one. That just makes me happy just looking at it. We have mint macaron, which is this one. This one's not quite showing its proper colour on screen, I don't think, but still very nice. And then we have cherry blossom, which is a really pretty kind of tonal pinky purple. It is purple, but it leans pink. I suppose some people would classify it as pink and some as purple. And it's got these lovely kind of creamy bits in with it as well. So I've got all of these skeins which are available separately, and then I also offer all 5 of these together in a mini skein set in 20-gram minis as well. I won't show you all the minis because you get the idea from those. You can get those as a set. And then I have a variegated yarn, which I love. This one is called Strawberry Lemonade. I love it. It's got some beautiful speckles and some yellow as well. And I have just this week dyed up some minis to go with these, because I'm going to be offering these as a sock set as well. So you can either buy the yarn here on its own, or you will be able to get it as a sock set. And as soon as I've finished my vanilla sock there, I will be casting a pair of these on. I can't wait. Yeah, I pinched a skein from my last kind of restock that I did. I dyed up some, and I thought I got to keep one. I've got to keep one for myself because I'm really looking forward to casting it on. So all of those kind of solid pastels are in stock at the moment. This one is going to be restocked this weekend. I'm just waiting for the yarn to dry. I'll probably get this podcast on today, which is Friday. This should be on by the end of the week, Sunday, and the sock sets as well. I'll have some limited stock of that available. And then I've also been playing around with some lovely speckled yarn. I absolutely love this one. It is very kind of heavily speckled, and it's got lovely different colours in it. We've got it's kind of like a really pale blush pink peeping through, and then it's got oranges and browns and golds as well. I'm really pleased with how that one's turned out. So this one is not going into the shop just yet. I need a name for it. So if you've got any ideas for a name for this one, let me know in the comments. This one will be going in the shop soon, and I also want to come up with a mini for this as well. Because I really love sock sets, and I I think sometimes they can be hard to come by. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to creating lots of lovely sock sets. So this one will be going up soon. So yeah, keep an eye on my Etsy shop. I will pop the link to that in the description box below. And if you've already bought some yarn for me, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. It really is, it's like that little thing that people say is when you buy from a small business, someone somewhere is doing a little happy dance. And I really do a little happy dance every time someone buys my yarn. I'm really grateful. Thank you. So that brings us to the end, and I've chatted about everything I needed to chat about now. So I'm going to take a picture now for my thumbnail and get this edited and get it up to you. And I will be back again soon. So thank you so much for watching. If you have watched this far, leave me a bumblebee in the comments below. Because it helps with my engagement rates and things like that, and then YouTube shows my video to more people. So thank you so much for watching and spending some time with me today, and I hope you all enjoy the bank holiday if you're here in the UK, and I will chat to you all again soon. Take care everyone. Bye.